Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining the last session of the day. As Microsoft Student Ambassador Summit, we have come to the end of day one, and we wanted to bring you one of the best, as we wanted to save the best for the last. So we'll be hosting Antoine, Jenn, and Chisom, who will be taking us through how you can prepare yourself for a role as a software engineer, and also how you can. And we'll have Chisom answer a few questions in a mock interview session. So you'll see how, guys, the real interview session happens. So before I go to the speakers, I have a few things to tell you. Share the message on social media using the hashtag MSCC2020. So you might earn yourself some swag. So let me go to Twitter and see what's happening. So hashtag MSCC 2020. Let me see some of your tweets, how your day has been. So I can see from this Esther. So Esther was so psyched up for the recruiting workshop just 2 minutes ago. We also have Kevin Asaria, who learned from the first keynote that we had. Chumba Limo was telling us, a lead software engineer at Microsoft was telling us, you should learn the basic and be able to have knowledge in depth. Don't go around picking things. Just learn one thing and ensure you go. So the other thing is someone who tweeted, in case you miss any session, just go to the links that you missed and you'll find the session recorded there. So don't worry, if you miss this session, if your friends missed any session, they can just go back to the link and it will be live there. So much swags up for grabs, so tweet as much as possible. One last thing, at the end of this session, I'll be asking for your feedback, and one person might walk away with a FirstYear voucher of LinkedIn Learning. So give us your feedback, tell us how the sessions have been, and you might find yourself walking away with 1 year of LinkedIn Learning. Without wasting too much time, let me invite Jenn Travis. So she is a Microsoft recruiter. Jenn, are you there? You're muted.
I am here. Thank you so much. Yes, really excited to be here with you all and sharing. I am going to walk you through a little bit more about our university recruiting process, demystify it a little bit for you all, and then hopefully get you all excited about applying and potentially, being an intern or what we call a FirstYear or full-time employee at Microsoft. So I'm going to turn off my camera as we go through this presentation, as I want you to be fully focused on the PowerPoint. But hopefully there will be some great information that I'm able to share with you today. So first things first, I don't think I could do a presentation about Microsoft without starting off and sharing our mission statement. Hopefully it's something that you're all familiar with, but it's to empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. Now, obviously, that means different things to everyone, but for me, I feel like I get to live that mission every single day in connecting with you as students and helping you land your dream job at Microsoft. These are the kind of attributes that make up our culture and definitely what we're looking for as we consider any new student or any new hire into Microsoft. So certainly having a growth mindset, being willing to learn and to grow. I think you're all indicating that by being a part of this summit as well over the course of the next couple of days. Customer obsessed, so we wouldn't be as successful as a company as we are without our customers and understanding what they want and putting their needs, first. Diverse and inclusive. Microsoft is a global company, and so it's very important to us that if we're trying to empower people across the globe, then we have employees who represent those people that we're trying to empower as well. One Microsoft, so we take a one Microsoft approach to any work that we do, and what that means is no matter if someone's working in Kenya or I'm sitting in Ireland or we have a team from the US, we are all kind of living and breathing this culture and having the same approach to the work that we're doing. And then last but not least, making a difference. And so it's really important to the core of who we are and what we do at Microsoft that we think about the impact that we're having. So just kind of some things to keep in the back of your mind as you're considering an opportunity at Microsoft. These are very core to the students that we look to hire, as I shared, and a very important part of the Microsoft interview process. So without further ado, I'm actually going to dive into what our university opportunities look like and how to apply and all of those pieces. What makes me qualified to actually share this information with you is that I am a university recruiter at Microsoft. So I've been with the company for about 5 years. I'm currently based in Dublin, Ireland. If you can't tell by my accent, though, I'm originally from the US, but I've had the amazing opportunity to be living in Europe, hiring for our development centers across Europe, and then also in Kenya and in Nigeria. So first things first, I like to clarify the difference between what our university opportunities are versus what our industry opportunities are. So there are essentially two paths into Microsoft. And the first is for our university students. So any individual that is currently studying, whether you are studying and pursuing a bachelor's, master's, or a PhD, you are part of the university process. And as long as you are within 1 year of graduation, you can apply for a full-time or an internship role with Microsoft. Once you are outside of that year of graduation, you are then eligible for our industry opportunities, and those are posted at our general career site. We have this distinction here because we anticipate university students would be looking for a little bit more guidance. They would have a little bit less experience. And so the first kind of year or two at Microsoft would be a ramping up period. Whereas if you're going through the industry pipeline, that means you have some more experience. You may have worked a year or two or more, depending upon how long you're out of university, and you're ready to hit the ground running. So just some things to keep in mind, that there are these two paths into Microsoft, and there's two different career sites. So Microsoft.com/university for the university roles, and then the /careers for the more industry level roles. So what do we actually have available in Nigeria and in Kenya? We have both software engineering and program manager roles. For both of these, we would be targeting students who have some sort of technical related background. So whether you're pursuing a degree in software engineering, information technology, computer science, or something related, that would be what we're looking for, as these roles are very technically focused, especially the software engineering one. We would be looking for you to have some level of experience programming. We typically look for any experience with object-oriented programming languages, so C++, Java, Python, C#. And then really, a passion for technology. So not only would you show that through, the degree that you're currently pursuing, but also through any kind of engagement that you have with technology outside of the classroom. So whether it be, you've created an app, or you've taken a whole bunch of online courses, or if you have a GitHub account. I love to see when students put their GitHub account on their resume, as I always click on it. I always go to the profile and kind of see how much you've contributed and, the languages that you're currently using. So just some kind of things to keep in mind. I'll talk more about what to include on your resume in a couple of slides, but that's a high-level overview of the two roles that we have. To be eligible to apply, though, the most important thing is your graduation date. So making sure that if you're applying for an internship role, you're graduating in 2022. And if you're applying for a full-time role, then you've graduated in 2020 or are graduating in 2021. I'm going to repeat this piece again because students always confuse this, and you will be automatically rejected for a role if you do not fit this graduation date requirement. So please keep that in mind if you're interested in applying and as you apply. Internship roles are only for students graduating in 2022, and full-time roles are only for students who have graduated in 2020 or are graduating in 2021. Again, you'll be automatically rejected if you apply for a role that you are not eligible for. So make sure you are aware of that as you're submitting your application. So now I'll share a high level a little bit more about our internship program and then our full-time program as well. Our internship opportunities, we have both software engineering and program manager internship roles in both Kenya and in Nigeria. They are 3 to 6 months long, depending upon the location and what you can accommodate based on your university cycle and your school break. They are full-time, so you wouldn't be able to attend classes while you're also completing the internship. And they are well paid as well. There's benefits that come with them. We are super focused on our intern community, so we like to engage with you as the interns. We have interns across Europe, across Africa, across the Middle East. We host a variety of events, a variety of learning opportunities, chances for you to kind of network and engage with different individuals across the various sites that we have engineers or program managers sitting at. You also have the chance to work on a real project. So we are not going to be asking you to get coffee or to, print things or work at the photocopier for us. Nope. You will be working on the same project that your team is working on. And so sometimes, it'll be work that you can complete in the time of your internship, and sometimes you'll get the project started and then hand it back over to your team and they'll continue working on delivering it. You could be working on code or a project that is used by millions, if not billions of people. So certainly the chance to have significant impact here. Last but not least, our internships are backed by a full-time offer. So if you have the opportunity to intern with us and you perform, the hope is that at the end of your internship, you'd be able to walk away with a full-time offer in your back pocket for when you graduate the following year. So not only are you getting an amazing internship opportunity, you're getting the chance to really experience what it's like to work at Microsoft, but you could go into your final year at university not having to interview anymore and knowing that you have an amazing full-time job waiting for you when you graduate. So that's a high-level overview of our internship opportunities. I'm now going to share about our full-time opportunities. So for our full-time opportunities, you would be part of what we call our FirstYear program. And so that is what we call and what we have any new university student who starts at Microsoft as a full-time employee across the globe is part of our FirstYear program. And that is an on-ramp program. It's 2 years, and it's the chance to really understand how to be successful in the corporate environment, learning more about Microsoft's mission and our values and cultures, which I went over at the very start of the presentation, really making sure that we're setting you up for success and that you kind of can see a long-term future and career path at Microsoft. We have flexible start dates, so some students are eager to hit the ground running when they graduate, whereas others want to take a couple months off, so we can certainly work around your schedule. Again, similar to our intern program, you get to work on significant projects that have impact and can be used by over 1 billion people. There's a lot of great mentorship opportunities, learning and development opportunities, career progression. The amazing thing about Microsoft is that it's such a massive company that there's no one career path that you have to go down. If you want to be a people manager, if you want to be an independent contributor, there's all these different routes that you can go down. I like to share that the general manager of our university recruiting organization actually was a software engineer for about 15 years, and then he switched to university recruiting, and now he switched back to software engineering. So definitely no one career path and so many different opportunities. Lastly, there are great benefits and perks to being a full-time employee at Microsoft, and you are well taken care of. So it's a high-level overview of the full-time roles that we have. Next, I'll talk a little bit more about our recruiting cycle, as I know this brings up many questions for students. So we typically do the majority of our hiring before February every year. So our opportunities are posted online at microsoft.com/university around the end of August, early September. That is when we ask students to be applying, is throughout the course of the fall. Myself or another recruiter would then review your application at some point throughout the course of the fall. We have just started reviewing applications, so if you've applied, please know that we are in the process of reviewing for the roles that we have in Nigeria and in Kenya. And then we'll schedule a first round interview. That'll happen either this month or in January. The first round interview is a 30-minute phone interview with an engineer or with a program manager that sits in Nairobi or in Lagos. If you're interviewing for a software engineering role, it'll also be accompanied by an online coding test, which will take about 80 minutes for you to complete, and you can complete it on your own time. If you're interviewing for a program manager role, it's just a 30-minute phone interview. After that, the next and final round interview would be scheduled, and that'll be happening in the end of January, early February. And that is 4 45-minute interviews. If you're interviewing for a software engineering role, it's very technically heavy. So you will be coding on a whiteboard, a virtual whiteboard, with some software engineers really understanding what your technical depth and knowledge is. On the program manager side, it'll be a little less technical. You won't be coding as much, but we do still need you to have kind of the core technical fundamentals, as you'll be working very closely with our software engineers. So that's the recruiting cycle. As I shared, we are kind of in that stage where we're reviewing applications and inviting candidates to the first round interviews. So if you are interested in applying, I would recommend that you do so before Monday. If you want to be, considered for this round of interviews. If you are interested in applying, the last thing I would like to share are just some pieces of information around CV tips and tricks. So things to consider including on your resume. The first thing would be to make sure you include your university, the major, and your graduation month and year. I've told you about the importance of the graduation date in kind of determining your eligibility for an opportunity. Please make sure you include it on there so I can quickly see whether or not you've applied for the right role and are eligible for it. Your university and major is just helpful for me to understand your background. Any internships or work experience that you have. It's okay if you don't have any, but if you do, feel free to include them on there. That just, again, really helps me to understand, what kind of programming experience you've had. If you've been a software engineering intern somewhere else, gives me a little bit more about your background. The coding languages that you use and any relevant coursework. So if you've taken classes around data structures and algorithms, please include that on there. If you have experience with object-oriented languages, so C++, Java, Python, C#, again, please put that on there. That's really important for me to see. Any extracurricular projects. So I think I talked about this a little bit earlier, but if you've built an app, if you've taken any online courses that are relevant, if you have a GitHub account, link all of that on there. Make sure it's highlighted on your resume. Leadership experience. So, working at a large company like Microsoft, we would love to, kind of see how you'd fit in well with stepping up and taking on challenges and having this growth mindset. So if you are part of any club or have had any mentorship or tutor opportunities, make sure you put that on there. It helps to give me a better picture of who you are as a person. Last final points are making sure you keep all information relevant. If you're applying for a software engineering or program manager role, it's great if you, so for example, I worked in retail once I graduated from college before I knew what I wanted to do, but that wouldn't be really relevant to my interest in a job as a software engineer. So make sure you keep the information relevant so that as I'm reviewing your application, I can really see what strengths you have, which would make you a strong candidate for the software engineering or program manager role. Last and final point that I would like to make here is please try and keep your resume to one page. I know that can be tough because I'm sure there's a lot that you want to highlight, but that ties back to the point of keeping the information relevant and making sure it's highlighting the most important pieces there. So just keeping it to one page, highlighting, you can even bold the pieces that are super relevant, so my eye is drawn straight to them. But those are just some tips and tricks that I would recommend taking into consideration if you're interested in applying. And again, making sure that you apply before Monday if you'd like to do so. So hopefully that gave you a high-level overview of our university recruiting opportunities and the process. Now it's a little bit more demystified. So Bethany, I will hand it back over to you. I'm not sure if we're going to do some questions now.
Okay, I think we'll first have Antoine and Chisom show us how a software engineering interview goes. Then we'll go to all the questions. I can see all your questions, so we'll get back to them after Antoine and Chisom go. So Antoine.
Yes, hello. So we're going to do a little mock interview with Chisom, so you can see what it's like to have a technical interview at Microsoft. So hello, Chisom. You're muted.
Hi, Antoine. Nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you. Yeah. So I'll just start by presenting myself. So my name is Antoine Gannat. So I'm French, but I work in Norway at Microsoft. So I started back in May. I work on Microsoft 365. Yeah, that's a bit about me. So could you introduce yourself?
Okay, my name is Chisom. I'm currently a final year student at the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, where I'm studying computer science. So aside my academics, I'm fully involved in building the tech community on my campus. This led me to apply for the Microsoft Student Partner Program, where I and my partners, we host meetups, hackathons, and teach people various Microsoft technologies. Aside that, I was also elected in as the director of software for my department, where I manage all software activities for the students and the department at large. So during my holidays, I enrolled in Aptech Institute to take a full-time programming course on Java, where I learned every single thing about Java, basically. So I went ahead to learn Android development by myself. So this led me to build so many amazing Android applications. I love building Android applications because, I mean, everybody uses mobile solutions. So I felt I could be of help. So aside mobile development, I'm also skilled in cloud computing, IT project management, networking, and technical writing. I love managing software projects in school because it gives me the ability to communicate and collaborate with teams perfectly. So I'm an individual that likes building myself all around. I love learning new technologies. I love meeting new people, and I love collaborating with teams. So when I'm not doing anything technical, I love cooking. Cooking gives me the opportunity to be creative, and I love playing the violin because music is something I love listening to. So I think that's all about Chisom in a nutshell.
That's great. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Okay, so to start, I will just give you a little insight about what the interview will be. So you are, of course, allowed to take notes if you want, and you can ask me if you need me to repeat the question or explain a word.
Okay.
Okay. So we're going to start with the question.
Okay.
So the first question is a non-technical one. It's just about how you would react in the company.
Okay.
So how would you handle a conflict with a coworker that doesn't have the same opinion as you on a subject?
Okay. When you gather in a place where you're with people in diverse backgrounds, there would be a very high chance there will be a very high chance of conflict. So how I would react to someone that doesn't have the same opinions as me is, first of all, I would readjust my emotions or the way I react to these opinions. So I do not want to seem too harsh or mean, or I do not want to attack the person because of his opinions. I just want to be calm and to listen. So to promote a better effective communication with the person. I try to listen to the person's opinions, because for someone to be pushing for a particular opinion, it means that the person has seen the successful side of that opinion. So probably after the meeting, I would call the person privately to discuss these opinions together. The person will show me what he's seeing from his side that I'm definitely not seeing, and then we weigh these two opinions together, check the advantages and disadvantages, then probably fix up another meeting to tell our co-workers what we agreed on.
That's great. Good answer. Okay, so now, if that's okay with you, we're going to go to a bit more technical questions.
Okay.
So first, could you describe a bug that you found and fixed?
Okay. That I would answer the question with the app I was trying to build. I was trying to implement a swipe to delete function on a recycler view, like the swipe to delete function you have on your Gmail application. And a recycler view on Android is more like a list view that displays items, like your news feed on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. So I was trying to implement a swipe to delete function on the view. So I noticed that once I swipe, the item gets deleted from my database, but it still appears on the list, like it pops back up. So I noticed that I wasn't using a particular function in Android to update my recycler view list. So once I added that method on my Android application, I realized that swiping to delete started working. But when I added that, I noticed that the function was using up a lot of space and resources because it was redrawing views all over again. So I researched for a more efficient solution that would enable me to do the same work, but using less space and probably, obviously, more efficient.
Right. So how did you make sure that this wouldn't happen again in the future?
Okay. Due to my research, I found out that the new method I was using, called diffutils, it's more efficient than notify dataset change, the previous one I was using, because it tries to catch all the bugs there is, or any bug there would ever be on the recycler view.
Okay, great. So for my second technical question,
Okay.
how would you explain recursion to a 5-year-old?
Wow, lovely question. So how I would explain recycler view to probably my 5-year-old brother is, I go to an ice cream store and I see a very long queue, and I join the queue if I want to get ice cream. So I want to know the particular position I am on the line, and I ask the person in front of me, might be a woman or a man or a boy or a girl. I ask the person, okay, what position are you? So I automatically know the particular position I am. And she says, okay, I don't know the position I'm in. And she ends up asking the person in front of her. And the person in front of her says, okay, I don't know, let me ask the person in front of me. So they keep asking themselves. Everybody keeps asking everyone in front of them till they reach the little boy that's trying to get ice cream at the front of the store. So once they ask him, he's like, okay, I'm number 1. And the person behind him automatically says, okay, if you're number 1, then I'm number 2. So they sequentially keep adding numbers to themselves to tell the person behind them. And once it gets to me and I hear maybe a 9, I know I'm automatically 10. So to explain more terminologies, the base case of this recursive function is the little boy that is buying ice cream at the front of the line, because we notice that we stop asking once we get to him. And the recursive functions are the processes that we pass through to get to him, both forward and backward.
Great. I like the ice cream ideology. Okay, well, I think that's all the question I have for you right now.
Okay.
Do you have any for me regarding Microsoft or anything else?
Yes, obviously. So I have just one question, and I think it's something I would love to hear and something I've always wanted to know. What the day in the life of a software engineer at Microsoft is?
So it's quite nice. So most of the time, I just get to the office, well, a bit less in these times, but
okay.
It's really like that. And usually the day starts with a little meeting with my team. where I will discuss about what I'm doing, so what I've been doing for the past day or so, and what I will be doing for the next day. So we can keep track on how it's going, and if there is, if I need help, for example, I will discuss with some of the people. Then I will take a look at the board. We have a board with a lot of items we need to work on, and I will just pick one and start working on it. Usually it goes like this. And then depending on the days, we have some meetings with other teams. So for example, yesterday I had some meetings with some people in the US. So we can discuss some subjects and how to work as a community. Yeah, and then you just work and have fun, discuss with your colleagues, and I guess that's about the life of the software engineer.
Okay, how about with the whole situation of COVID-19? How is it working from home or working without seeing your team members?
Well, it's a bit, I would not say difficult, since we are all working on computers. It's not difficult for us to communicate with each other. But yeah, it's a bit weird in the sense of talking with your colleagues. So it's hard to keep the social life going, I would say. Like to speak with your colleagues for other things than work, of course. Because when you're in the office, you will discuss about a lot of subjects, not only work. So it's okay, but yeah, it's a little bit difficult. But I guess it's the life of everyone right now.
Yeah. Okay, Antoine, I think that's all from me.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for this interview. It was really interesting to know you.
Nice meeting you too.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Antoine, and thank you, Antoine and Chisom, for that. I hope you've seen how the interview process goes on behind the Microsoft doors. So let me leave you, Antoine, as right there. So there's a question here. For the software engineering phone interview, how many coding questions does one get?
It depends, I think. Usually at least 2 or 3, I would say.
Okay. Then the next questions are for you, Jenn. Jenn, if you can be able to turn on your camera. So the first question is, what happens if you cannot determine your graduation date? For instance, I can speak for myself. So for my school, there's like normally strikes and they happen out of nowhere. So you can find yourself that you were admitted you were to complete school in December 2020, but now it goes all the way to November 2021. So how do you now address that issue?
Yeah, that's a great question, and something that we're seeing a lot of right now, especially with COVID and how it's impacting, students' ability to go to school. So my recommendation there would be to put your anticipated graduation date, and then if it updates, over the course of the interview process, just keeping us in the loop. But the best that we can ask for is that you put when you think you're going to graduate, and then if it changes, just update us along the way.
Okay. So the other question is, I'm from South Africa. Can I apply for the job opportunities?
So currently, for the roles that we have in Nigeria and in Kenya, we are looking for students that are located there and have work authorization. We do also hire into South Africa as well, not software engineers or program managers, but more technical account managers or customer success managers, so a little bit more sales roles. What you can always do is go to Microsoft.com/university and set up job alerts. So anytime a new role is posted in South Africa or in the specific country that you're looking for, you'll get an automatic email, which will just kind of take you directly to the link or take you to the job application. So that's one way to kind of stay in the loop, as there are roles being posted constantly throughout the course of the year. While our main hiring season is during the fall, there are always roles that will be opening up. So that would be my recommendation.
Okay, thanks, Jenn. So the other question is, for Africans who are studying undergraduate outside the continent, so maybe they're in MIT, but they're Africans, do they still get access to the internship opportunities in the continent?
So again, it very much depends on kind of where you're studying and where your work authorization is for and pieces like that. For full-time opportunities, let's say you're studying in the US and you're interested in coming back to Nigeria or to Kenya, we can certainly still put you through the interview process. And I'd even say that would be the same for the interns, but you do need to be located or planning to be located within the country during your internship. We unfortunately can't provide relocation for interns. We have a little bit more flexibility for full-time candidates. If you're looking for a role, in the U.S. or in the country that you're currently based in, I would just check out the career site and see what's available there. There again might be some more flexibility with organizing work authorization and things like that if it's required. But for this year, for Nigeria and in Kenya, we are looking only for students who have work authorizations for those countries.
Okay, I think you've answered the next question. It was about the geographical mobility. So you said for interns you can't accommodate that, but for full time, yeah, you can relocate, right?
Correct. For interns, you would just need to kind of indicate that you plan to be in the country for the duration of your internship. For full time, we have a little bit more flexibility and can provide relocation if necessary.
Okay. So the other question is, what is the earliest starting dates for the January recruitment cycle?
So there's no recruitment cycle in January. We are currently recruiting. The roles that are going to start would be starting in March, April at the earliest, but we are currently interviewing students right now, and final round interviews are happening in January. So if you're interested in starting in March or April, you need to be applying right now, because once we fill these roles, we will be done until next year.
So the roles that are currently open are just between, I don't know the seasons, so they'll start from, let's say, end of February, early March, right?
More end of March, early April is when they would start.
Oh, okay, thank you. The other question is, no, let me go to Antoine first. Antoine, so we have some few questions for you. So the first is, did she get the role? Did Chisom qualify to get the role?
Well, it's not only based on me the answer to that question. So like Jenn said, there is a multiple step in the interview process. So the one we just did is the first interview. But then you have to, if you're selected, you will go to the site on Microsoft. Well, not this time, but usually you would go to the Microsoft site and have 4 more interviews. But she did very good, so maybe she will.
Okay, the other question is, are there any coding questions, like technical questions for the software engineer interview?
Yes, I have multiple questions. Yeah.
Oh, there's this question. What if you beat an interviewer that you know? What happens then?
I don't really know, but I guess there would be some rules to avoid this. So like if you know the person, it will be someone else that interviews you, maybe.
Oh, still on the software engineering interview. During the phone interview, will you be expected to write code?
I don't think so, no. But you will have, like Jenn said, you will have a little coding test to do on your own time before the test.
Okay. The other question is, what determines the type of team that will be placed in? Like, if you get into the role, what now determines where you'll be going?
Do you mean with, can you choose the team you will be going into? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Maybe Jenn knows a bit more
Jenn,
about
can
this.
you hear?
Sorry, can you repeat the question? I wasn't able to hear. Antoine, did you hear the question? Because I think
No,
Bethany's breaking up a little bit.
It's a bit, yeah.
I can chime in if you could hear me. Yes. So the question was, how is it determined to which team you're going to be assigned to after you're hired?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So we have a variety of teams that we're hiring for in both locations. And so when you first apply, you're applying for a general kind of software engineering or program manager role. Once you come to the final round interview, that's where you have the chance to really speak with, possibly your potential manager, your future teammates, and really share what your passions are, what areas you're interested in developing. And then based on that information, about 4 to 6 weeks before your actual start date, the team will be doing team placement. So they're making sure at that point that you're placed on a project which is leveraging your skills and interests, but is also a relevant project. So we get asked that question all the time about why I don't know my project the day I'm hired. And that's because we're hiring you in January, but you might not be starting until next June. And so whatever, is relevant in January or whatever is a relevant project in January is probably not going to be a relevant project come June. So we want to make sure that you're working on something interesting and impactful. So when you come to the final round interview, that's where you'll have a chance to learn a little bit more about the projects that are currently being worked on. You can share what your passions and interests are. And then about 4 to 6 weeks before your start date, that's when you'll really find out, okay, this is the project I'm going to be working on, and this is the impact that I'm going to have. Thanks, Ruth.
Bethany, it seems you're still choppy. So I'm happy to read off some of these questions if that's all right with you.
I think that would be a good idea, Ruth.
Okay. If one is from Evans, and he says, if I get an internship with Microsoft, do I have the option of choosing my starting date, or is it fixed?
Yeah, so we have a few flexible starting dates for internships. I think there's one a month, but again, that's information that would be shared with you at the final round interview, but there is some flexibility there as we are kind of working around your university schedule and the breaks that you have. So there's not one day a year, there's typically about 3 or 4, but again, we can be flexible if need be.
Awesome. Next question, are there internship opportunities for second-year students? If yes, when?
Yeah, so right now we're just targeting students that are graduating in 2022, so that would be students that are in their 3rd year. The hope is that as we kind of build out the program, there will be more opportunities to bring students in who are earlier in their university career. If you're looking to get engaged though, and I'm assuming you've heard about it because they've kind of organized this summit, but you can always apply to be part of the Student Ambassador program as well. And that's an amazing way to kind of start learning about Microsoft and their products and being engaged early on, even if it's not a formal internship.
Thank you. Now, next question is more hypothetical. So say I am in Kenya. Can I apply for roles in Redmond?
So the short answer is you can apply for anything that's posted on the career site. But if I'm, sharing kind of where we're at this year, is that we're not doing a whole bunch of international hiring simply due to kind of the global climate, I think, in regards to COVID and into some into the visa issues that we're seeing in the U.S. right now. So we don't kind of have that formal program where we're hiring from Africa into the U.S. this year. But again, the hope is that next year when things calm down a little bit more, that we'll have the opportunities to do that again. The follow-up point that I'll make there is that Microsoft, because it is such a global company, there are opportunities to move abroad and move within the company. I can use myself as an example, right? I worked for Microsoft in Redmond, so in Seattle for a year. I've been in Ireland for 4 years. I'm moving back to the US. So there's lots of kind of ability to move around once you get into the company and once you kind of do good work and improve yourself. So if your long-term dream is to work in the US or to work in Redmond, getting your foot in the door is always the first step, and then kind of building up that, you know, amazing experience and that amazing reputation will help you move around. Ruth is another great example. She's moved to Kenya from the US as well, so it's cool to see that movement within the company.
Thank you, Jen. So what is, it's asking for data from you. What is the acceptance rate for applicants?
That is a very hard question to answer, and it honestly changes year over year because we have a varying level of roles that we're looking for. We are always targeting different kinds of students. So I can't unfortunately share a specific number. What I can say is that you can set yourself up for success by taking the tips that I shared around your CV, making sure you get your application in early, making sure you're starting to prepare for your interview even before you get an interview. Those will all be points that will really help you set up for success, you know, down the line, and hopefully help you land a role at Microsoft.
So this next question, you touched on it a little bit, but I just wanted to bring up a question again for those that came in late. It said, I sent my application for the program manager role in the last week of November and haven't received a reply yet. Does that mean my application is yet to be reviewed?
Yes, especially if you sent it in the last week of November, that would be last week. So we are going through applications that we received since September. So the only thing I would say is you can check your Action Center. So if you go to Microsoft.com/university and log in, up in the right-hand corner, there's your name and there's a drop-down menu. And one of the options is to select Action Center, and there you can see all of your active applications. If it's still showing as active, and I think it'll say resume review or recruiter review or something like that, that means it still hasn't been reviewed. If it's no longer active, then it means it's been reviewed and you should have received a response kind of letting you know if we're moving forward or not moving forward with your application. So just ask for your patience. We're going through them. You can imagine there's a high volume, but we're taking the time to review each one of them. So just, you know, hopefully you'll be receiving an update in the next couple of weeks.
Cool. Can data scientists have a role in the software development process?
Of course. So, you know, I kind of touched on we would be looking for students who are pursuing some sort of technology related degree. If you're pursuing a data science degree, that is certainly relevant, but you would need to kind of highlight your programming experience and kind of indicate that you're looking for a software engineering role. We do have data scientist roles at Microsoft, but this year we're not hiring any of, or we don't have any roles to hire into Kenya and Nigeria. So we only have the software engineering and program manager ones there. So you need to make sure that, as I've shared, your application is really targeted to that type of role and that you're showcasing that you have the skills necessary to be successful in that role. Again, if your desire is to long-term be a data scientist, there's always that opportunity. But again, it's getting your foot in the door and then progressing from there.
So after the final interview, how long does it take for you to know that you've gotten the job?
We are generally really quick after the final round interview. I will say, you know, I'm not a very patient person, so I don't expect everyone else to be either. And especially when you're waiting to hear back about a job, we want to, you know, get that information to you as quickly as possible. So after the final round interview, we're generally able to get back within anywhere from 5 to 10 days, if not quicker than that.
Cool. Does being a student ambassador give one an edge when applying for internship?
I think it's something that is amazing to highlight on your application. We consider all students kind of equally based on, you know, the information that they're sharing on their resume. It doesn't automatically mean that you get an interview, but it's great to see that you have, you know, are passionate about Microsoft, and that's indicative through your engagement with the Student Ambassador program. But that is just one piece of your experience. And again, it comes back to being able to highlight your technical experience, your programming knowledge, and making sure that you have the fundamentals there. So it's certainly something that I love to see, and it's just one piece of that puzzle, which kind of makes up, the whole application.
I think I've read through all the questions that are remaining. The ones that we haven't really brought up was that some folks were really commenting on the mock interview. Great job, Antoine and Chisholm, on that it was very enlightening, and that they learned a lot from that. So that was, that's great. I think, unless I missed something, and I could certainly use another set of eyes to keep me honest over here, I think I've read through all of them. Bethany, if you are back online, you could certainly
thank you. There's one question. Wait. Yeah, what are the opportunities for first-year students in college? Is there an opportunity for them?
So again, it would be similar to what I was sharing earlier. Right now, we're targeting students who are graduating in 2022. So my recommendation would be to, participate in the Student Ambassador Program or apply for it. Start ramping up your GitHub account, work on an app, take online courses. There's a lot of things that you can do to build up your resume or your application so that when you do apply, in your third year, you can be successful. And our opportunities change year over year. So even though this year we're only targeting third-year students, next year we might be able to target first and second-year students. That's really the hope as we build out, the programs.
Okay, I think that's all from the audience. Thank you so much. As Ruth mentioned, there's so many comments thanking you guys for the mock interview, for just talking us through how the internship opportunities are, how to apply, and everything. So thank you so much, Jenn and Antoine and Chisholm. You've been such a great group of presenters. So wrapping up today, this marks the end of day one. So thank you everyone for joining in the sessions. Tomorrow we still have another session for the program manager role. So be sure to look out for it. All the sessions can be found at aka.ms/MSSA site. So go in there, check out what sessions we have for you tomorrow, and ensure to join in. We also have our hackathon happening. So a few information about that. The hackathon has just kicked off today. So the categories include green tech, fintech, healthcare, and education. So we will upload all the competition details on DevPost. We have also created a Slack workspace where you can collaborate. So let me send you the DevPost link where you can get all the details you need. 1 minute. So all the details about the hackathon will be updated before the end of the day at the link I'm sharing. Yes, it's gone. So there's a link I've shared there, https://MSSA2020 hackathon.devpost.com. So sign up, ensure you pull on your teammates, your classmates, join in. Last but not least, as I promised earlier when the session started, we're giving away one LinkedIn Learning voucher for you guys who attended the session today. So one of us will be able to walk away with 1 year of LinkedIn Learning. So you can for you to do that, you have to give us feedback, and from the feedback, we'll select one random person to walk away with the voucher. So there's the feedback form. Other than that, thank you so much for joining in. Thank you, Jenn, Antoine, Chisholm, and Ruth. It's been a pleasure having you all here. Thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.